Hello, my lovelies. Simona is here with you today with a tag. This will be my first time filming a tag, and it's called. I will look at my phone for the questions. So if I look down, you know that I'm looking at the phone. It will be mid-year book freakout tag. I'm not sure who created it first, but I will try to find. And if the original video is still up, I will link it down below in the bar. So, maybe just begin with the questions. First question, best book you've read so far in 2020? I have read quite a lot good books this year, but one of them is The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. It's a classic book, and I can read you about it a little bit. The first and the greatest of the best-selling Victorian thrillers known as sensation novels, The Woman in White opens with a chilling encounter between drawing teacher Walter Hartright and a ghostly female figure on moonlit road. From this moment, Walter is drawn into a terrifying world of intrigue, crime, disguise, and insanity, as he tries to save his beautiful pupil Laura from the sinister plans of Sir Percival Glyde and the Napoleon of crime Count Fosco in one of the most gripping plots in English fiction. And I didn't expect to love this book so much. Usually with classical books, it takes time for me to get into them and read, because the writing style is a little bit old, so it's a little bit harder to get into the story. However, with this book, I just flew through it. It was so interesting and intriguing, and I loved the main characters a lot. Next question. Best sequel you read so far in 2020? I have to be honest, I haven't read so much sequels this year. Actually, only sequels I read was books in the Mortal Instrument series. So, yeah, because I don't have anything else to compare to, let's just say that The City of Fallen Angels is the best sequel I read so far this year. Question number 3. New release you haven't read yet, but want to. This will be La meg ikke huske. It's a Norwegian edition by Lisbeth Pettersson. It's a thriller. And from the description, I can say that it's about a woman who's 41 years old. She wakes up in the hospital after after a crash without remembering anything. And at the same time, there's 3 men that wake up in the cellar somewhere. And they don't know why or how they get in there, but they are locked. And it seems like there will be some connection between all of these people. So I will definitely try to read this book this year. Question number 5. Biggest disappointment. And this will be a book, Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. It's a Lithuanian edition, and in Lithuanian it's called Mirksnis. It's a non-fiction book about how people think, the process of mind. I had so high hopes for this book because previously I read another book by him. This one, let me see the original title, because this one also is in Lithuanian. The original title is Outliers, the Story of Success. So when I read this book, I was mesmerized by it and I gave it 5 stars, and I thought that other books by Malcolm Gladwell will be just as good. However, it was so boring. Oh my god. It took me, I don't know, few months, I think, to finish that book. And in the end, I gave it only 2 stars, so it was a huge disappointment for me. Next! Question number 6. Biggest surprise. And that will be The Distant Hours by Kate Morton. It's about a woman who tries to find out her mother's secrets, and she comes up in a small village in a huge house where lives 3 old ladies. They are all sisters, and they ask her to write a story about them. So it's a story how her mother and those sisters are related, what happened during the World War. And I read this book and didn't have any high hopes because I tried to read it previously, and after, I don't know, maybe 20 pages I DNF'd it. But this year I thought that I will give it another chance, and I love this book. I read it so quickly. The story, the intrigue, the secrets between the sisters, how they try to care for each other, but at the same time try to be better than one another. It was so fascinating to read. I hope you will give it a chance. It's quite old book, but definitely worth a shot. Favorite new author? For me, this will be Anne Gracie, I think. Of course, you have to read more books than one to say that it's your favorite author. However, I read only this one yet, but from what I read, I think she has a huge potential to becoming one of my favorite authors. So I will try to read other her books this year. Newest fictional crush. It so happens with me that I don't crush that often with characters. There's only a few that I can name that I have crushed on. So this year I can't say that I found new character that I crushed on. Newest favorite character? There are few of them, but a recent one is a Scotsman, McTavish, from The Perfect Stranger, from the same book. He is so hilarious. He reminds me of a bear, so grumpy, seems like all the time, but at the same time very caring. He's very protective of his friend and tries to do what is best, at least what he thinks is best for his friend. Even when he's not agreeing with his friend's actions, he's very supportive. So that's why I liked him a lot. Book that made you cry. I don't cry when I read. It's just like that. Book that made you happy. It can't be any other way. It has to be Pride and Prejudice, because it's one of the books that I reread almost every year. It's so cozy, heartwarming story that when I feel very anxious, I know for 100% that if I start reading it, it will definitely make me happier. A favorite book to film adaptation that you've seen this year? I haven't seen that much movies this year. I was concentrated on reading, but I really enjoy the new adaptation of Little Woman. So let's say that is my answer for this question. Favorite review you've written, BookTube or written? Because I have only one review on BookTube this year, it's 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. So let's say that that one is my favorite on YouTube. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received? I live in Norway at the moment, and in Norway we have second-hand shops called Fretex, and usually I go there to find books because you can find their books in a very, very good condition, almost like new. Most of them looks like new. So when I saw this book, I couldn't believe my eyes because it was published quite recently, and it's by Norwegian illustrator Lisa Aisato. And if you want to buy this book new, it's quite expensive, and I found it, I don't know, very, very cheap, and it's brand new, you can say that. And it's amazing, it's so beautiful. I don't know how many times I already read that book, and it's every time I see it just takes my breath away. I can show you some of the illustrations, like this one or here. It's just amazing, and the story in it's about, it's like the title says, live it, just life. It's a story about life, how you go from the childhood to the adulthood. And in every page there is just one sentence and a illustration. Let me see, what can I show you more? I don't want to spoil you too much. This one is very cute. So it's this year so far, it's definitely one of the most beautiful book that I purchased. What book do you need to read by the end of the year? I think I skipped one question. Yeah, so we can go back to that after I answer this one. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? This year I had a challenge for myself because I have some books that are on my bookshelves all over 5 years, and I want to read at least 12 books, are the oldest. So I already read few, but there are still 6 books that I need to read by the end of the year. So one of them is by Mary Ann Radmacher, Live with the Intention. Also, the Norwegian children's book, Spøkelsene på Frost øy, Hvite mareritt. It's about a boy, Jens, who lives in a house with his mother and in an island where is some ghosts. I don't want to spoil you because it's not the first book in this series, but it's very entertaining, and I definitely will give these books to my son when he will be a little bit older. Please Look After Mother by Kyung Suk Shin. Also, I have a book series, Blood Ties by Jennifer Armentrout. I have read the first one. It's books about vampires, as long as I remember. So I need to finish this series, and I have 3 books left to read: Possession, Ashes to Ashes, and All Souls Night. These. I think this is the thriller, Swedish thriller, the latest Swedish sensation. It was the latest Swedish sensation 5 years ago. It's called The Quarry by Johan Theorin. Old Jerry Morner lives quietly in an isolated house deep in Swedish forest, hurting no one. Or that's what he wants people to believe. It takes one spark and a can of petrol to expose the truth. The fire is deadly, not for Jerry, but for the two strangers found burnt to death inside it. Today it's a little bit hard for me to speak. His son starts to search for answers, but soon realizes that some secrets are better left to the dead. And the question that I left unanswered is most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. Usually, I'm not one of those people that look up what books are coming, but this time I went out on NetGalley and tried to see what catches my attention, and there were a few books that were very interesting. I'm just trying to find the book that I'm talking about, and the book I'm talking about is This Is My America, I think. This Is My America. Yeah, by Kim Johnson. It will be published on July 28th. I will try to insert picture here if I'll know how to do it. I'm not sure yet. So I'm very intrigued about that book. I can read a little bit about it for you. Dear Martin meets Just Mercy in this unflinching yet uplifting young adult novel that explores the racist injustice in the American justice system. Every week, 17-year-old Tracy Beaumont writes letters to Innocence X, asking the organization to help her father, an innocent black man on death row. After 7 years, Tracy is running out of time. Her dad has only 267 days left. Then the unthinkable happens. The police arrive in the night, and Tracy's older brother Jamal goes from being a bright, promising track star to a thug on the run, accused of killing a white girl. Determined to save her brother, Tracy investigates what's really happened between Jamal and Angela down at the pike. But will Tracy and her family survive the uncovering of the skeletons of their Texas town's racist history that still haunt the present? Fans of Nick Stone and Jason Reynolds won't want to miss this provocative and gripping debut. So it sounds extremely interesting. I think that's it for now. I don't know, it was very interesting to fill my first tag. So yeah, I hope you liked it, and please give a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Bye!